So this is the video of Lab 11, Knowledge of Result Precision. So let's take a look about it. Okay, so today we are going to do Lab 11, which is the Knowledge of Result Precision. So the purpose of these lab experiments is to examine the influence of specific versus general knowledge results on learning motor skills. Okay, so why does this lab experiment is important? First, this lab experiment will help the administrator to see on the right procedure of the lab experiment. Second, it will see how does the knowledge of result precision will give positive influence on the motor skill performance of the learner. And the third one, it will determine either the level of accuracy of the information given to the subject will influence the outcome of the motor skill learning of the subject itself. We are going to look at the materials that we are going to use for this lab experiment. First, we need target, and then we also need beanbag. We also need to use measuring tape to measure the distance between the throwing line and the target. We need individual data sheet.
Next, we will moving on to the validity and reliability of the test, which is general and specific knowledge of result. First, I will briefly explain about what is validity. Validity refers to what characteristic the test measure and how well the test measure that characteristic, which means it gives meaning to the test score. It also can be simplified as measure what need to be measured. Next is reliability. Reliability is the determination of reliable information that consistent in different allocation. Reliability is the extent to which the test taker's score does not depend on the specific day and time of the test or the specific questions or problems. Reliability can be considered consistent if the test scores are reliable to the extent that they are consistent over different occasions of testing or different scoring of the test taker response. Therefore, we need to take a look at the factors that might influence and affect the reliability of the test. Based on our observation, the validity of our test is high, which can also be considered as a valid test, because the purpose of our test is to examine the influence of specific versus general knowledge of result on learning motor skill. Therefore, I can recognize and identify that the test is valid because we achieve our purpose and measure the characteristic that need to be measured. Apart from that, the result data on calculation of mean for specific knowledge of result is higher than general knowledge of result. It is proven that the specific knowledge of result works better and precise towards the participants. Next is reliable. The test of general versus specific knowledge of result can be reliable as if the test still run following one particular procedure despite performing the test in different situation or time or any of the factor that can be affected. The tests may be differ and vary according to the weight of the beanbag, size of the target, or day or time it being conducted. But if it is following on one organized procedure, it is reliable. Therefore, if we want to keep the consistency of test reliable, we can keep on the same scoring procedure, because we can still achieve the same result and run on the same calculation.
Now, let's move to the subject description. There are 15 subjects for our test. Here we provide the details of each subject. In this test, there are 10 male and 5 female, which most of them are in moderate active, but there's 4 subjects in the active level. For the weight of the subject, the highest weight of the male subject is 87 kg and the lowest is 53 kg. Meanwhile, for female, the highest is 60 kg and the lowest is 38 kg. And last, for the height of the subject. As we can see, the highest height for male is 176 cm and the lowest is 164 cm. For female, the highest is 168 cm and the lowest is 151 cm.
Okay, now we proceed to the knowledge of the result precision test. The objective of the task is to throw a beanbag while blindfolded so that it will land on the pool ice. The target zone will be placed on the floor with a 3 cm diameter, and the distance from the tape throwing line to the target is 8 meters. This test will be used under hand tossing motion, which is the participant will face the target. The step will be opposite foot to the target. If tossing with the right hand, step forward target with the left foot. Use pendulum arm motion with the tossing arm, and then follow through. So now you guys will see the demonstration of the hand toss.
Procedure. The participant will stand in a ready position behind the tape line. The participant will wear blindfold to cover their eyes. When ready, participant will throw the beanbag to the target. The score will be counted according to the scoring procedure. Scoring procedure. If the beanbag land in the inner zone, which is the yellow color, the point will be 5 points. Red zone 4 points, blue zone 3 points, green zone 2 points, white zone 1 point. If not landing in the target zone, the point will be 0. Station 1, specific KR. The participant will work in pair. They will perform 15 trials from the same distance, which is 8 meters. The participant will receive specific KR in terms of where the beanbag hit the target. The examiner will take the score where the beanbag land. The participant need to use underhand motion with blindfolded eyes. After complete 15 trials, participants need to switch roles with their partner. Example of the test.
So now we at station 2, general knowledge of result. In this station, the participant will work in pair. They will perform 15 trials from the same distance, which is 8 meters from throwing line. The participant will receive general knowledge precision in terms of what direction the arrow occurs. The examiner will take the score following to where the target lands. The participant need to use underhand tossing motion with the blindfold eyes. After complete 15 trials, participant need to switch role with partner. So now, this is the example of the participant do the task. Your beanbag will hit the target.
Okay, so now I will tell you the result for specific KR and also general KR. Okay, so for specific KR we got the mean is 5.57, while for the general KR the mean is 5. Okay, so from this result we can conclude that specific KR will can improve more for can improve the performance of the thrower rather than general KR. Okay, so now I will tell you the factor that influence this test. First one is the weight of beanbag. Second one is the size of beanbag, and then the surface of the floor, and also the athletic of the subject. Okay, so what is the meaning of the athletic of subject? If the subject is an athlete or a thrower, so he can do better either in both situations. Okay.
Problem that we encountered during administration that might have affected the test result is the beanbag. 3 beanbag has been used for each set. Each beanbag have different size and weight, so it will be quite difficult for the subject to measure how much force need for the throw to reach the target. Next is the target size. We supposedly use a round type target, but we change it with square shaped target. So, the capability of the subject to throw the beanbag into the target area is a bit different, and the surface size of the target area also different. Lastly is the place for the test. During the test, we found that the ceiling of the lab is a bit lower. Sometimes the subject might hit the ceiling and need to throw again. Other than that, the floor is quite slippery, where it might disturb the standing position of the subject and movement of the beanbag after being thrown.
Now, for the things that need to be considered to improve test administration in the future, we have list 5 points. Okay, for the first point, instructor need to be trained and know and understand what to do and their role. If you can see in our test, some instructor give instruction from the target area and some instructor give instruction beside of our participant. To remove the biasness, we can synchronize the instruction. Okay, for the second point, we can provide clear, precise and detailed instruction for participants. As an example, one instructor can give instruction while one more instructor do the demonstration. For the third point, we can change our place and equipment. For the place, we can find a better place like hall. If you can see, during test, our participants lower their body because they don't want to hit the ceiling because the ceiling is very low. For the equipment, we can change beanbag to get a same size and weight. We can use weighing scale to measure the beanbag to make sure the beanbag at the same size and weight. And the last point, we can change the target to the circle instead of square. Another point, we can divide into smaller group. As an example, we can do 2 knowledge of performance group and 2 of knowledge of result group. We can do this because it more fast, efficient and well organized. For the last point, we can show the result and discuss because it will explain more to the participant and give them motivation. That's all.
Now, we need to discuss about difficulties that encountered during interpretation of result below the topic knowledge of result precision. The first difficulties that we found is information bias, which are errors in data collection that lead to misclassification. The observer cannot detect the accurate point. We can see that the beanbag might be land between 2 points. So it's hard for the observer to decide the majority of each touches or landing. Secondly, this test does not have a specific norms that easy to classify the category of the subject. If we don't have the norms, it's hard for us to classify the category of the subject after they done the all trials. Last but not least, the extrinsic interruption during performing the test. We can see that some of the subject hit the ceiling before hit the target. So it's hard for us to consider the score is valid or not, or the subject need to take another trial.